Well, welcome to the Real Deal podcast. And we have one of Coastal's own. In fact, we've had a lot of people over many episodes say, well, why don't you guys do someone inside your own business at Coastal? And what better way to start than Mr. Ed Cherry, who's the two-time in a row number one agent for Coastal. Mate, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you here, Teddy.
Thanks for having us. First podcast for me, so I'm glad to,
And I appreciate
pop the cherry with you.
I appreciate you
podcast.
giving us the exclusive, because I know you've been fending them off. Joe Rogan's reached out. Yeah. So it's great that you've actually kept it in-house. So we really appreciate that and opened the floodgates after this. Very interesting career to date. 10 years in the real estate business so far. We're really going to get into that because obviously now you're a partner in the Palm Beach office, highly successful, two-time, as I said, number one salesperson for Coastal Group, back to back. But we want to understand, what makes you tick, your approach to the industry. You've got a very unique style in the way you go about the business. But before we do that, we want everyone to understand who is Ed Cherry. So, bit of background. I know that you grew up in the southern Gold Coast, your beloved southern Gold Coast. You call this end of the coast Gotham.
A bit north for me, but yeah.
So tell us about your sort of early childhood, without getting into a life story. Tell us about your early childhood on the Goldie and growing up.
So I grew up down in Coolangatta. Dad was a paediatrician, so a doctor in the area, and we loved that southern end. Went to school at Somerset, made a great group of friends who, I rely on daily now for business advice, or we still catch up locally. Some of the old memories, I guess, that we've had of property would have been through the great Brian Ray. We're good friends with Jack at school, so we still keep in contact with him. But I guess for me, property was never there at the start. I went off to uni and did a double degree in marketing events. And it was always hammered into you. It's sort of like, you got to go to university, and then what are you going to do at university? How you want to do it? So for me, I saw my uncle. He's one of the partners and owners of M&T Saatchi. I saw the success he had, and I wanted to go to Sydney, then London, and work for him in advertising.
Is that Dr. Cherry's brother?
It's actually his cousin, but because they're so close, we just call him
his uncle.
Yeah. So good relationship with that family, and then went down. So did a double degree at uni. Got sidetracked with a bit of TV stuff on the way. And then,
we're going to get into that, mate.
and then ended up in Sydney, down in Bondi in the bubble. So I did 5 years in the bubble, working for the likes of Billabong, Corona. We did with Billabong. I was doing Girls Get Out There, Learn to Surf. We travelled Australia in the Pro Juniors. In the marketing team with Jezza, who now works at Billabong. Who now works at Bolter, Bushy Mitchell, some of the old great names of that industry.
And let's just unpack that. So with that role there, was that, you've very much got brand would be handled by the marketing department, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But is that about the brand experience out there, spreading the word, creating experiences, events?
It was pre-social media and everything. So Billabong back in the day used to have a bus, and they'd have a Billabong bus which would drive athletes and team members, staff to the event, while everyone else at uni was doing their internship in accounting firms or, property valuers. My intern was travelling on the Billabong bus. With Bushy Mitchell and Jezza from the marketing team, because I wanted to get in and do marketing with them.
I've just had a realisation that you have actually grown up. A lot of people that don't know you might think you're just the new generation that's actually grown up only knowing social media, but you've actually straddled that period of pre-social media, like no social media.
That's probably the last generation, I guess you could say, that did that. We went from MySpace to Facebook to, Instagram, just getting a grip on TikTok. But it's pretty challenging looking through all those sort of times of it's exciting because businesses had to think outside of the box, and it was so different for marketing strategy. And then everything I learned now in a marketing degree is so different to what they'd be teaching now. So it's good to always be in touch with that.
Yeah.
Which I feel I was on that journey with the right people, coming back from Corona and then being on a surf trip, and running into an old friend from school, Sophie Carter, who I started real estate with. Lorna Savage from Ellis Properties down at Casuarina. She was a big influence at the start, always saying that I needed to get into the industry. But going back to Sydney, I was living down there, and good friends were property developers and sales agents themselves. Matthew Thritze from Ray White Special Projects was always like, Ed, stop selling cars, mate. Get into, what are you doing? Get into real estate. And the more and more you hear that, it sort of becomes a conversation in the back of your head, I guess.
You had enough people telling you that you'd be good at it. You think
Yeah.
maybe I should have a crack at it.
And so I was working with Corona, got a job actually at Rio Tinto. I was like, I need to get back to the coast. Parents getting older. I want to buy a place there. Can only afford a garage in Bondi. I need to sort something out on the coast. So
Because my generation before yours the coast was very different to what it is now. So you kind of had to have that go out to like Sydney. I spent some time in Sydney as well. You kind of had to go to the big smoke to kind of come back to actually truly appreciate what the Gold Coast is.
And that was a big part of my network, and it still is now. But the people that I've lived, you see them transitioning back now with families or friends. But I guess for an example, I couldn't afford an $800,000 unit back in Bondi then, which is probably worth $2.5 million now. So I came back to the Gold Coast to buy a $400,000 unit, and I needed to leverage up for a year. Went away to the mines, worked for Rio Tinto in Darwin in the uranium mine as a health and safety advisor. I was known as Bondi Vet out there. Everyone thought that was pretty funny, and the skill set. It's obviously I wasn't the most sort of charcoal, hands-on guy out there, but my role out there was to give a bit back to the head office in Brisbane and find out what was going wrong.
Yeah.
So I gave them a commitment of a year, and that was my saving. It's like save up, get the money from the mines, come back and get a place on the Gold Coast, and go from there. And I had no idea what I wanted to do still. I knew I had a marketing degree, and then I was in Bali on a surf trip and ran into Sophie Carter, and that's where it's sort of full circle. So
we're not going to go straight there yet, mate. I'm not going to let it get away with the television thing you alluded to before, because not many people, well, some your close friends would be aware, but there's been a lot of water under the bridge since your famous appearance in 2008 on Big Brother.
Yeah, there's a bit of heat around that.
So tell us how you ended up getting on that show, because that was sort of one of the earlier seasons.
Yeah, that was back when it was still Channel 10. And yeah, it's always a good conversation for my friends to throw me under the bus when they're drunk or anything like that. Always a good
bringing it up.
Good table conversation after a few beers.
We all love the Google photos with the blonde tips as well.
Yeah, they come out a fair bit, especially when I'm trying to ring someone and they see that. But so I was doing the internship with Billabong, with Bushy and Jezza, and there was TV crew that overlapped for Channel 10 that were filming the Pro Junior Surf series, everyone was talking on the bus about it. I think Fisher had just gone into a reality TV show then where he injured his foot and he was in lockdown and he couldn't do it. And this is pre, Paul Fisher DJ days now.
Yeah.
This was when he was surfing still. And he was going as an intruder, and they were like, look, we need an intruder to go on Big Brother. So they put 2 submissions in with me. One was Ed and one was for Cherry. And 2008, I was an intruder.
You were an intruder?
Yeah, so...
Okay.
It's a good experience. Everyone always asks me, would I do it again? And probably the answer is no, but I'd say for anyone else out there, it's definitely something to have a look into. It can really challenge you, but, I met good friends on there, good life experiences. It actually threw me in the deep end on public speaking, because a lot of the time, I wouldn't be as upfront and as I did, but when you're thrown in the deep end, usually it's sort of like, okay, you have a single swim and you've got to run with this. People want to know about you. They want to talk to you. And I always felt, why do they want to speak to us? What about these athletes? So back then, there wasn't influencers. It was still just MySpace days.
Yeah.
In social media terms. And if you wanted to promote a product, it was through an athlete.
Yeah.
And now, I guess moving forward, the athletes are challenged by the influencers because of the reach which the athlete has. So unfortunately, some of the athletes that don't have big reaches, even though they're highly talented,
but you might have an inferior athlete / influencer that might be in a sport or a genre,
100%.
but has a great following. And cycling's a good example of that.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously Braden Mercer, we sponsor a Coastal, supporting them, and hopefully the following for Braden grows, because after winning the next try,
yeah,
I think he's on.
Well, I know a big part of our sponsorship with him, he actually put towards building his social media profile. So they recognise the importance of that.
Yeah.
Tell us about, because when I didn't know who you were and we didn't know each other, people would talk and say, "Oh, who's this Ed Cherry?" And the first thing they would say is, "Oh yeah, he was in Big Brother and he kissed Pamela Anderson," which is a huge claim to fame, by the way. So tell us a bit about that story.
There's not much to unpack really there. It's sort of, they can make you out on TV to be whoever they want.
Yeah.
If there's 18 people in the house, you pretty much got, on a half an hour episode minus TV ads, you've got 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
So I was an intruder. I was made out to be that, the guy that was going in there to break up someone or cause something. So when Pamela Anderson.
And did you play that role? Did they give you any scripting to?
Warnings. Yeah, you're getting notified warnings, pulled into the diary room. Hey, your microphone's broken. This. So we knew Pamela was coming to dinner, and when this was pre-influencer days, so everyone as a childhood dream, Baywatch was for all these guys. Pamela Anderson walks in, I just leaned over and gave her a kiss at the dinner table.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm sure.
And the rest is history.
It's going to pop up here somewhere.
Yeah, we'll make sure it does. To the editing room.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you think you learnt from that experience? You said the public speaking.
Yeah, being public speaking, but obviously just being yourself as well. A lot of people would try and change into fitting into how they wanted to be perceived, whereas you saw them just sink straight away because people would grab them, pull them. They could only last to being that person for a certain amount of stamina.
And you could see that before you went in. So you kind of...
you were hanging out with them in the show, and then obviously as soon as it went out, stuff would change when you'd have to do appearances. So we were doing like three nightclub appearances every night from Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
And that'd fly us around from Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, and you'd just be rolling in, getting your money. They'd give me a rider. They'd give me a list of friends that I could bring in, and I just have mates that would come with me, and we'd literally just go bar to bar.
Yeah.
Have a driver out the front, an hour at this bar, an hour and a half there. See you later.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was doing there.
No.
I just sit there in a booth and drink, say good day to people, and it was just crazy. It's just something that I didn't feel as though that I needed that recognition for when there was athletes out there or people, more deserving.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess, from that I learned that just respect people for who they are as well. People that are just coming up and they want a bit of your time to someone seeing you, or they might be drunk and they're grabbing you and pulling you. You can't just snap at them. It's sort of like
Yeah.
But you just calm it down and treat people the way that you deserve to be treated, or you'd like to be treated like yourself.
Yeah. So you mentioned that a chance meeting with a school friend, Sophie Carter in Bali, resulted in you getting into the industry. Sophie, known for fabulous marketing, does a great job in the industry, has done for many years. Yeah. So you came into an agency pretty much brand new. Yeah, tell us about the early days of your career in getting started with Sophie. So
Sophie gave me a start in the industry, which I always look back at now and hope that I can do for someone as well. But she really channeled me into who I am today. Yeah. There's a lot of positives and key takes that I look at daily and say, well, how would, back then when I was doing it, is this the way? And even when I need a reset, I go back to saying, okay, well, we're flooding now with properties. We're doing this, and this. Why is something not working? What did I used to do here? And it worked so well. So Sophie had just transitioned. She just opened a new boutique agency in Coolangatta, and they were looking to expand and take on another agent. So I knew that area pretty well. Sophie had always covered sort of from Balinga to Rainbow Bay, and my job was to expand on the Balinga to Currumbin area for her, which I loved. It was opposite the hospital. Everyone knew who Dr. Cherry was, my dad. So it was a bit of an easy step. So I always sort of say to people when they ask me where they should go or what they should do in the industry, it's sort of start where you want to finish. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're selling, the 600 to...
You're talking about marketplaces, farm areas.
So the farming area for me was opposite the hospital, and there was a reason why, because everyone knew Dad's name. So it was easy for me to get in the door. If I was door knocking, I'd have Hershey with me, my chocolate Labrador. He was a puppy then. So it was sort of these ice-breaking conversations that, they'd instantly relate to you. And that's why I always said, like, if you start, I wanted to start and just do beachfront, like everyone does when they start. You hear it over and over. Hey, Dane, I want to do Hedges Avenue. I want to do this. And you're like, mate, come on, settle down. But if you just keep hammering at the $1 million units or the $2 million stock, it'll eventually turn over into that, because someone will have an apartment or a friend, which they know and will recommend you for. So as you know, my business is pretty much highly strung on recommendations and referrals.
Absolutely.
So for me, it was all about building that reputation and not letting the family name down as well, I guess, for my father. So that was a big thing.
And you start off with the demographic and the people that you've grown up with and your connections, and they come in and they're first home buyers, and then they become investors, and they start to get successful careers and businesses, and they upgrade their properties, and your career kind of follows. A good agent's career will follow the trajectory of their networks, affluence as it rises. And, you've done that very well. So about 4 or 5 years with Sophie Carter Real Estate, which I know has shaped you massively, working in that independent, strong focus on marketing, a great person to learn and grow from. You got to a point then when we started having a chat,
Yeah.
and I'll just for those of you that may not know the story, you're now a partner in the Palm Beach office, so coastal Palm Beach, started in 3 years ago. Now in the top 10 of individual offices across the Gold Coast of any brand. So it's a very, very successful business. It's done it very quickly through a lot of growth. And I do remember the meeting we had very early on when we were discussing it, Barefoot Barista in Palmy, and you were very clear that this is what you wanted to do. You wanted to have ownership in a business. We weren't strong at all in that market, and always remember, your humility when you came and asked that. You knew you had to earn it. And the famous story is when you came into Broadbeach, the idea was, okay, you build the market share in Palm Beach, you get it to a certain level, and then you earn the right to have the conversation to open a business in that region. And Rob and I always talk about, like, when people jostle for offices and they want space. You actually insisted that you actually worked on the floor in the bullpen.
Yeah, the chicken pen.
In the chicken pen. And tell us about that. Why did you choose to do that? You could have demanded an office with your.
I guess, yeah, for where it was at the time, I was always in a small office. There was Cara, Sophie, Rage, and a Lockie there. So there was, at one time it was just three of us, then it could be four. I didn't want to come and join a business because I was always said I wasn't going to join a franchise. And back then it was Harcourts.
We were Harcourts, yeah.
And it was always for me of the point of what the light bulb moment really was when I was speaking to some developers in that Coolangatta reach, Ray Bashir from Arena Property Group. He was always like, Ed, politely, outside of the Gold Coast, who the hell is Sophie Carter? So when these businesses were coming from Sydney and they were doing these developments, I had these conversations with these guys and they're like, how am I going to take you back and pitch in front of the board who you are?
Yeah.
And just because we hadn't had that growth, Coastal now does across offices, awards at the REIQ, and we took out, number one settled sales, number one gross commissions just recently. But without those behind a boutique business, I was attached to someone which didn't have brand recognition to these developers. So coming and having the meetings with you, and I think Mitch Lambert, Guy Power back then maybe as well, they were sort of key pushers, mainly Mitchie.
Yeah.
He was sort of in my corner trying to get us across in that avenue. And I was reluctant. I'd heard that agents get huge signing bonuses and they do this and that. And to me, it didn't really matter. I just knew what I wanted to do in my lane. And I'd seen a gap that if we were going to do something down south, I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I love people. I love networking with them. So I think that having that backbone of the mixture of yourself, Rob, Katrina, and then being a sales director as well, it allows me to expand on that business. And I couldn't have done what I'm doing now without you. And I guess likewise, we couldn't have grown into that area so quickly.
Yeah.
But the whole point, I guess, going back to the chicken pen, I didn't want to isolate myself and go and sit in an office and, just sit there with a PA and not know the business. I wanted to sort of, the old hands-on, meet everyone, get to know the people in the industry and learn what they're doing, or overhear conversations of how they work. It was all new to me. How many people do we have? Probably 200 back then.
Yeah, about that.
And everyone, over 3 levels in an office, coming from, an office which is the size of this boardroom probably.
Yeah.
It's pretty daunting. So I thought, well, what did I learn well out of Big Brother, so to speak? It was, I do like public speaking. So I was like, I might as well put myself in the middle of this office and just get to know people. And then network with them, seeing what it's like, because if I'm going to put myself away in a corner, you will never learn anything. You won't meet people, or people won't know who you are. And it was all, I guess there's a bit of timing and luck in real estate, as you know. It's, everyone tells you they got the best database and this, but if someone's looking for a property or they're looking at selling, there's definitely a property that can elevate you.
Yeah.
And I believe the Palms, when I was in that chicken pen, when we sat there, we did a marketing campaign. I asked you if I could borrow your 911, the old famous photo of the 1980s 911 and the new sort of, was that 2023-ish?
Yeah.
911 or 2020. And we had them parked in the garage, and that was just a spin. That was sort of what elevated Burleigh from $3 million properties to 4s.
Yeah.
I remember having that auction with you, and we had to kick people out unless I
Oh, yeah. That was crazy. And, I reflect on that. You were at a time in your career, and we all have pivotal moments.
Yeah.
I think that original Palms campaign, because you did go on to sell it again, that original Palms campaign was the right property at the right time with the right agent who actually used that to leverage and build a brand off it. And you did that well, so well.
And I wasn't even the front runner for that
No.
property. Like,
Well, it was a conjunction, wasn't it?
yeah, so it was, and there was an agent that had listed the owner's properties several, so they were flippers. They were huge business on the Gold Coast, JSW Landscapes and Designs, and he'd had 8 houses prior, and he had this one agent which was always selling his
That's
properties.
right.
And I was coming in as the underdog, and I said, why don't we just do a conjunction on it? Like, what's wrong with us doing it together? Whereas most people, they want no, it has to be me, it's all about me show, where if you add something to a campaign and grow off the back of it, I feel as though the on-flow effect that we had outside of that was far greater than me just wanting to have that.
There's a huge lesson in that, because a lot of people, if they can't get total control or they can't get the listing, they'll either give up, because a lot of people would have said, we've got our family agent, leave us alone, we're okay. But you fought for it because you thought you had something to offer. You humbled yourself to do a conjunction. But the reality is, the way that you marketed that property, it may as well have been the Ed Cherry show, and you did a wonderful job with the marketing. Were you aware of the scale of how that was going to be received in the market when you actually listed it?
No, but I guess that's for us. We pride ourselves on being one of the best marketers in the industry. There's videos now that we're doing, some of the Mac Tech stuff, some of MJW's with the Elfin that's just come out and had over 1 million views. Another collab with Michael Bacon in place. It's how you have that connectivity and the vision of what you're seeing. We just did the one for the Meta. Hey Meta, what's this property worth?
Yeah,
the Oakley conjunction.
That's a great one to check out online if you get a chance. You've got the Oakley sunglasses on. You're incorporating their technology. It's had a lot of views. It's a really clever way of doing a video. So let's talk about that, because do you put a lot of attention into the planning of that content?
Yeah.
And do you also include that in your when you're presenting to a seller of why the Ed Cherry team?
Yeah.
Are you actually talking that strategy and presenting your ideas at the listing presentation?
Yeah, we openly say that we're the most referred agent on the Southern Gold Coast, and we'll go to a listing and I ask them straight away, why am I here? What have you seen, or who you've been referred by? Because to me, that opens the door straight away. I know what avenue. So if they've seen us, then I say, look, the difference between a good agent and a great agent is their marketing skills. I've got a double degree in marketing. Do you want to get eyes on the property, or do you want to hope to sell the property? So I believe the difference between an agent is their marketing skills and then their negotiations. They're the two key factors they have to have, because without marketing, you can't get the person to negotiate with. So when they're seeing our campaigns, we'll turn up and we'll show them, or most of the time they'll say, hey, we want our video looking like maybe the Davey House, great old cottage that we did in Burleigh, immaculately presented. And then that was sort of another turning point in Burleigh for an old, 80s style shack, which, turned again in the middle of Burleigh with a large allotment. But it's the different ways you can interact. And for me, that's the exciting part. And Emma, who used to be in my team, she used to hate it because we'd actually spend more time on, getting a campaign ready, photography, videography. But that's the most important time. And I believe a lot of agents oversee that. They just send their photographers out there. Hey guys, leave a key out. Photographer will come here, shoot it, get it back to us. They send it back. They look at it. Oh yeah, that's cool. They're the professional. We trust them. That video is ready to go.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys that work with me, and I work with 3 or 4 different videographers and photographers, because I like to keep a turnover going, keep it creative, keep it different, so that we're on trend with stuff. But the most important time is actually going back and then questioning them on bits and pieces and getting the shots, showing them, well, we know the best. They don't know the best light on that home, or they don't know which angle is best to shoot the home, or if we've got Aston Martin arriving at the front, how does that perceive a buyer? There's a lot to it, I believe, and it should be. I feel as though a lot of agents let that go, and they should spend more time with their photographers and videographers, and even the vendors saying, how do you want this property shot, and which way would you walk around the home? Because most of the time, if they walk you around the home, they know how it looks the best, so you should be copying that route for your private inspections, for example. They're not going to walk you through the garage. So
no.
They're proud of it. So they'll walk you straight through the front door, and they'll take you to a conversation room where obviously they're wanting to show you something and feel. Is it the height of the ceiling? Is it the outlook? So I feel they're the two key things that when you're marketing your property, you need to take note of how the vendors walk you around the home in the first stage, and then being there with the vendors to photograph and get the videos.
And are you pitching your concept for the video at the listing presentation? If sometimes you've actually thought of it before you've actually inspected?
A lot of the time, and it's, we'll see ideas, and some of the times we're recreating. So obviously the image of the palm, that was a famous photo from America that we recreated and had it in Jay's driveway at Burleigh. The Hey Meta is obviously, there was a Ray-Ban ad done with Chris Hemsworth and one of the Jenner family. And when he rips a banana off the wall and starts eating the art. So I think there's a level where it gets too corny, but if you can, slide it into your division, there's always a fresh start. And I think there's innovators out there that do this so well, and they're so different. You've got your Matt Lanks, that he's in every video walking through it, very creative. And then you've got your Gavin Rubinstein, who would just be seen in videos, won't speak as much, but people know that that's elegant or of class.
So tell me, that's a very interesting point, because there is a real estate persuasion for the let's call them the people who are out there to promote themselves. You can't sell a secret, sell yourselves. They're very, very quick to get in front of a camera. They're very, very quick to they want photos on signboards. They want their photo everywhere. One thing I've noticed about you let the property do the talking. You let the quality of the video, the quality of the marketing, the photography do the talking. You're very rarely in front of the camera. I mean, the Hey Meta one.
Yeah, that was probably the first time in a few years that I've come back on. I think you need to mix it. You can't always just stay in your comfort zone. So for me now, it's sort of throwing myself back into that and saying, okay, well, there's the right times to do it on properties. Don't do it all the time, because you'll lose engagement. But there's key parts where you need, as you said, the property speaks for itself. So for you, if you're walking through and you're just touching a bench top and then walking into the next one and the curtain's blowing, and it's like, no one wants to see that. They just want to see what the actual fixtures and finishes
are. You having a go at Robbie there?
No. But it gets to a point, you've got, you look at the engagement that you have on your phone, and if you're not getting that engagement in the first 2 seconds, someone just swipe up on you. It's done.
Yeah.
Not swipe up in your DMs. I'll swipe up the next one.
So when I watch an Ed Cherry video, there's always something different. There's always a different approach. There's always a different camera angle. There's a different transition. Is that you coming up with that most of the time? Is that you directing the video company?
I love a lot of input in it. And as I said, the photographers, videographers that I work with obviously get frustrated that we do so many takes or changes. Some of these ideas aren't mine. No, I'm not going to claim them all, but a lot of them are where.
But you'll see them on a Porsche ad or something like that.
But it's inspiration that you want to create for your vendor in that property. So it's the journey that it's been on. You're trying to, if you're selling a lifestyle, for example, at Burleigh, why does everyone love Burleigh? The headland, the restaurants, what put Burleigh on the map? Probably Benny May with the pavilion, really shook it up and took on everyone as a destination point. So why isn't that in all of your Burleigh content? It's sort of, the Mondrian's now doing that. So we're lucky enough to have one of the apartments for sale in there. Great success, 2 good influencers in their own right as well. Great following. And we did another campaign there where we threw the valet driver the keys out of a Ferrari, because that's part of the body corporate. You can park your car in the valet every day. They'll park it for you. They'll drop you off at the airport, pick you up. So they're little subtle things that we're trying to get across. I guess another subtle hint that we gave was when we did the June sale, and we turned that from an $11 million sale to a $12 million sale. And when we did that, we used the old famous Ferrari ad with the clock from when they changed drivers from Lewis Hamilton, from Leclerc to Lewis Hamilton, and they rolled it over from 2 Ferrari drivers. And
you had the clock, the digital, changed, the analog clock.
So they had their 2 numbers on the clock of the drivers' numbers changing, and we changed it from 11 to 12 because at that time I was in a confidentiality agreement, so I couldn't release the price.
Yes.
If the clock was flipping from 11 to 12, and if you knew, you knew.
Yeah.
So
a creative way of promoting it without breaching the contract.
So there's little things that we love to put into those videos or give that edge. Does it help sell the property? Maybe not. But does it is it a conversational point at a table, at a bar? I walked into the room here, the guys had seen the Hey Meta video for 150 Jefferson. It's LA. It's the little things which I believe have a big part in a real estate agent's career.
Particularly in 2025, 2026. I mean, that, as you said before, like your approach and how you explained that at the listing presentation, that your job is a marketer and a negotiator, that makes total sense.
Well, most people get in there and the agent tries to tell them what their property's worth. That guy knows his property, what it's valued at, probably better than you do, because he's watching the market, because it's his biggest asset. He's got the 6 DLs from every agent in his letterbox saying just sold, this is sold, so he knows what's going on. They want to question you on how you're going to get him to that price.
Yeah.
That's the important thing, and they're actually judging you on the journey you'll take them on. If you tell them a price, are you open about talking with a conversation with a price with them, or are you just trying to hook them into a sale and then just on auction day, just slap them down, and this is the best we can get, mate. Pat them on the back and jog on. So there's different ways which you can market it. You've said it all. We've got great agents here. I'm not saying mine's a right way of doing it. And it's probably why we haven't been on the podcast for so long, because I don't think that you could replicate what we do over and over.
No.
I wouldn't say, hey guys, this is the way to do it, because a lot of it is, it's social branding, networking, growing up, having all the friends and family that I do that are in the industry, valuers that are turned into buyer's agents. If it's, James Thompson, great example, one of my best mates from preschool. He was a director at Aaron Todd White as a valuer, and now he's a successful buyer's agent. So having him on my side, having Nick from MacTech Constructions, Jack Ray, these are guys that we can all move forward together.
Yeah.
We're not here as a group just working on us only, but they're good conversations that you can have. And I guess there's guys in the industry on the Gold Coast that do that. They have business networkings where they all get together and groups. So this is sort of, we're all from Somerset. We're all just best mates, and we've fallen into the same industry together.
Let's call your level of marketing prowess in real estate elite level. I'll say that, you won't say that, but I can definitely say that. Let's say that not everyone's at that level, and you said before, for someone to try and replicate, Ed Cherry's not right anyway. But what advice would you give to someone that maybe, their Instagram game or their videography game is, pretty ordinary? Being self-aware, they get on and they have a look at your, Instagram profile, and they get a really good sense of, wow, that's what it actually looks like when it's done well. They look at their own and think, I'm posting anything and everything. What advice would you give to someone who may not want to go full Ed Cherry, but wants to make some improvements? You must be some observations or even some frustrations there that you see in the market. Just think if they did that better, it would help them.
I had that conversation with Simon Caulfield from Place, and we were sitting there talking about, he's got Michael, obviously, Bacon in his team, who, is full throttle, does great marketing, one of probably leading in the industry for high engagement stock. And then there's agents that we see daily, and everyone feels as though they have to talk on camera. And sometimes it's awkward that they're talking on camera and it's the wrong property to be doing it. Yeah. Whereas they should, as we said, let the property do the talking, but have subtle ways of engaging, or you can still level up your photography and videography skill sets. And it's not, it's not changing companies, dropping who you've got a relationship for 4 years to change to who I use. It's literally going out there and saying, having a creative eye and a bit of an input in it, versus sitting back and saying, that's in my diary at 9 o'clock. I've got that. I can have 2 meetings going there. I guarantee you, if you turn up to that and you give them a bit of direction, have a bit of input, start choosing, scenes where you want to be, it'll level itself up for you. That's probably, everyone thinks that all they have to do is grab a microphone, clip it on, walk around holding it. Oh, quick little snip. I'm here at this house, da-da-da. I think that's going to change them and put them into that level. Which, no, mate, go back to the fundamentals and, have an input in how you're marketing your property and what you want to change. And
you're spot on, because if you put your creativity into how you can market that property creatively, that in itself raises your profile without any need for you to actually beat your chest about it.
They've seen it. Take them through examples of videos which you like to your videographer. This is what I want to do. These are the transitions I'm looking at elevating my business to. Yeah. There's simple ways. And if you're not meeting them on site, you can't have those conversations.
And you're spot on, because if you look at as I said, the elite level videography out there that the elite agents in that space are using, every one of those videographers is available to anyone. Yeah. No one has them in house. No. The best of the best are actually independent. So you've got full access to that.
If it's in house, then it's all bland. It's all the same. And that's why I have a mix, and everyone says, hey, can we sign you to do this amount of deals? And I'm like, no, I'd rather work with 3 or 4 different guys and, have different properties for different stock and different ideas, because you're getting ideas. We're challenging each other on these ideas on how we go to the next one. And we said that to Nick. I was like, from MacTech, I was like, what are we going to do with the next video now? And I'm like, you must feel that when you're building homes. What's that next step you're going to put in this house? So everyone's like, wow. So I think that's in every industry.
Yeah.
But it's how you combat it and taking those small steps and not just trying to go straight for the hero straight away. It's like, okay, let's just start at the bottom and work our way up and go through key fundamentals of looking at what are the best angles of this property. Your videos will get better when you turn up.
Yeah. Tell us about your journey as a partner, business owner in the Palm Beach business, and reflecting on, is that exactly what you thought it was going to be?
It's probably a bit easier, to be honest. In the last couple of years, I've seen myself take more holidays than I have before, but I enjoyed spending time with my dad. He's getting older. We've done some great trips to Europe, wine tasting, and some bike tours. Obviously, coastal, we're engaged in the Noosa Tri, which nearly broke me, but we got through it.
You did well, mate.
But for me, it's time, and it's not taking away from me. I always felt that a selling principal would lose time, but having that plug-in, and we always say it's this is the mothership here at Broadbeach, and we plug in so well here because we have that support from yourself, from Rob, Katrina's there, Dimmy from marketing, Joe from contracts. I can call these guys, Chris from finance. Literally anyone in my team can call them for me as well. We have meetings. I feel as though we're down there, we're doing auctions every Friday. Everyone knows that we can have a conversation with Ed Cherry on the floor, or if they need to speak to Dane, Rob, and any of our key clients in Coastal, it's just a phone call away. So knowing that we're at Palm Beach doesn't mean that we're disconnected. We're actually more connected because we all do groups together. We've got the gala, which we put on every year. We've got the function, Christmas parties and events, top 20 trips. That's what, really creates that bond for the team, and everyone feels so comfortable reaching out, doing conjunctions. Across 5 offices, I don't think there's many agencies which can go from Coomera to Palm Beach and have that reach of saying, hey, we've got this reach, but we're also conjuncting. You've got 2 agents in 2 different areas, which will sell your property.
Yeah. So and magazine and all those tools.
100%. And without those tools, which you supply, I wouldn't still be able to seamlessly keep doing my job at that high level. It's sort of having the stock that we do on the books is great, but then obviously you've got the business as well. And I always wondered how you juggle that between them. And I think a lot of independents will struggle and they don't know it yet, but when it ramps up, it will. Sorry, turn your phone off.
That'll be a listing. You better get it.
It will get to that level of people that go out and say, hey, I want to start an agency. I'm sick of paying splits. I want to have my own agency. You actually lose most of your time in trying to set that business up, run the business, manage staff. The best thing for that for me as a director is I'm not solely responsible for managing staff.
Yeah.
I've got a say in it, but it's done so well from our mothership here in Broadbeach, which, you guys created, which is perfect.
It's always very, I always think it's viewed with some skepticism when, say, a business owner says to an agent who wants to go and do their own business, there's a lot involved, your personal sales are going to get affected. And they can sometimes think that, we're this business owner that's kind of protecting, the forbidden land. Don't go and do it because I'm doing it. But the truth of the matter is, as you've seen, there is definitely a trend towards, you see some high profile selling principles. You see some, a trend towards either bringing in partners because it's so hard to do on your own.
Yeah.
I get a lot of selling principals call me all around the country asking, I want to get off the tools, or I want to bring in a partner, or I'm burning the candle at both ends. Yeah. And it's so difficult for them. You can maintain that energy for a certain amount of time. Like you can be an elite agent and you can keep the ball in the air, but the problem is you're not going to be able to scale and grow a business to a level that has a sustainable approach to it, like you just mentioned with your holidays. And the reason, as we talked about before a couple of days ago when we knew we were doing this podcast, the reason it works so well, not as an advertisement, but just as an example of how this relationship and the Palm Beach business is so successful, is that we each know each other's roles and we each respect that, without your input as the lead agent out there, building profile, being the person who cares about the people in the company, nurturing, but also really focused on being the person who represents the brand really well, that's extremely important in a business to leverage off. Because if we didn't have that,
100%.
we wouldn't have an attractive business to be able to recruit around. And then you add to that local presence where we've got the Palm Beach Association, which is pretty much
Yeah, with the surf club.
it's pretty much the Palm Beach Surf Club is pretty much a third office now. It's branded.
Yeah.
We do auctions there. It's one of the best locations. I mean, of all the offices I get around to, if I'm going to work somewhere, like I want to see the ocean, it's a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, having that spot is, it's pretty timeless. Like we couldn't have timed that pitch for that better in that place. I didn't actually realise how much of a on-flow effect the surf club would have. And if you asked me 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, did we think that relationship would have been so, amazing and seamless? I would have said no. Like we're hand in hand with them. We know their staff. We're doing, joint parties, joint functions with them. It's so amazing to see that community work together, because most of the time as real estate agents, they try and force themselves into, I sponsored the soccer team, or I'm doing this, I need to turn up. And whereas we're just turning up every day because we're supporting them and getting coffees and, hosting auctions there, seeing people, lock in Sean in the office, they sponsor a meat raffle.
Yeah.
So, every Tuesday or Thursday night, they're in there giving away free raffle tickets to the guys. And
in the community, loving it.
So but for us, we couldn't do that without the sponsorship that we have and without that office placement of being so close to it.
Yeah, it all works very well. And the other thing I want to make a point about you, which a lot of people wouldn't be aware of, is you're extremely busy elite agent. But one thing that I know Rob and I value very highly is that whenever the company's doing an event, whenever there's something on socially, which is so important for connection, you always make it a priority to make sure that you're there and you're engaging, you're talking, you're part of the team. And I think when people see that you make room for that, it's awesome for our culture.
Yeah, but going back, when I was in that chicken pen, I was one of them. I wanted to learn from everyone. I wanted to ask these guys. I wanted to see what Ptolemy was doing, or what Stewie Reed is up to. How do these guys run their businesses when you're just sitting here because there's guys out there that have been in offices with less than 5-10 people.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing to sit here and just to watch, to see it unfold, how people's businesses, because there's so many different ways of running your business. And that might work for some people. There's nothing wrong with having a glass office, and we've got it now. We always seem to have the door open, people just walk in. We've got Olivia there, my PA, and we work together well because we can go out onto the floor. I'll make sure that 2 people are on the floor in my team and 2 are there, so that we can have that blend of still sitting out there and working together out there, or working back in the office if you need to. So I think it's more about how much you give to a business and versus what you'll want to receive. Most people go to these events because they want something, whereas if you go there and you're sort of like, okay, there's guys here that actually want to learn, they've seen you on your journey, they want to congratulate you on your listings, just know a little bit about the rest of the team. It's not hard. It's so easy. Hard. Yeah. One thing you always did well every morning, you'd walk around, say good day, say good morning to every single person in the office.
Yeah.
The little things that make people, feel important and known in that office. You just do it because you're walking around, saying hi to everyone. But these guys are out there, as new staff. They're like,
well, the conversation.
Says hi to me every morning. If I'm not here at 8:30, he's going to ask where I am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the conversations you have by that, it's kind of like the, Dr. Cherry getting around pediatrics, getting around talking to all the different newborns. It's no different to in our business. Like, people are in their business. It's not formal. You're checking in. Yeah. You know what's going on. You also know that 2 days ago they were working on a listing or a deal, and you can sort of pick it up where you left off. It's an ongoing, eternal conversation.
But I guess what you do there is an easy way of scheduling meetings with agents. So you've actually gone around in the morning and you've ticked off 8 to 10 meetings with the agents because you've caught up with what they're doing.
Yeah. And
I'll do that at the coffee shop. So I always said, I learned this with Richard Carter, Sophie Carter, it's like, never have a coffee in the office, always go out and get it, because it's the people you meet while you're waiting for your coffee, or the people that ask, who's that guy? What's he do? Why is he in a suit? Why is he standing here?
Absolutely.
They're so intrigued about it, but that with the team, if you can build that dynamic, they're actually getting jobs done while they're over there.
I actually had a coffee with Lockie Torpy next door to the office a couple of months ago, when there was a guy sitting next to us, and we were starting to chat, and Lockie and I, clearly we're from Coastal, got the merch on, and he leaned over and he said, "Look, sorry to interrupt, but are you Lockie Torpy?" I think Lockie thought that I put this guy there for him to build his confidence. And the guy said, mate, I just want to let you know your marketing's amazing. You're doing a great job. Like, keep up the great work, just out of nowhere. And I'm like, isn't that cool?
And that's Palm Beach.
Yeah.
That's what we always say. It's such a tightly held community. There's people that have moved from Palm Beach to Mermaid and have moved back. They're like, we just miss that engagement. But it's those small things, the small wins that you can have. Of just everyone's like, Ed, you're out every weekend, you're at restaurants, you're at lunches, but that's how we're getting business. You're in front of people. You know, it's sort of, I'm going to a listing presentation, and what does everyone do? If you ask an agent, how did the listing presentation go? Oh, mate, I smashed it. What do you rate it out of 10? Oh, probably, probably 8 to 10. No one says they did a shit listing presentation. So
No.
If you ask an agent what they can do better, it's have a relationship or know that person, because the
beforehand. It's a
because,
very different listing presentation, isn't it?
Because that relationship will always win on how good your listing presentation was. I know sometimes I'm just getting checked. I'll go to a listing presentation. They already know who they want to be. They've already got a relationship with that agent. They're just ticking the boxes to make sure.
Yeah.
If they have made the right choice.
The point I want to make, getting back to what we were saying before about, the business partnership, why it works. I'd say to anyone out there that's an agent that's really got ambition to do that, but they actually like the company they're in, because I do see a lot of people, they don't want to leave the company they're in, but it's just that they don't have opportunities, or they feel like they can't grow, or, there's already too many offices, or there's no room. The thing I'd say to anyone out there is have a conversation with your leader about what your ambition is. At least they know, so you can actually stretch and go down the first. We're just giving an insight into how busy you are. It's good. So I think that's a really key point, is to have that conversation. And if you want to go to a green pasture, I want to go to this new market. Well, start building market share. Have an agreement that if you build some market share in that market, there might be an idea that we could do it together. I know that that's actually something that a lot of principals would actually value. Instead of waking up one day and someone's left because they didn't feel like there was an opportunity in their office. Just wrapping it up, Ed, I did want to ask you, because we've got some exciting opportunities available to us, in the coming few years. We've just put on some awesome emerging agents, Asher and Mark, in that northern New South Wales area. Tell us a bit about your excitement around that region, because there's amazing synergy between the southern Gold Coast and northern New South Wales. Watch this space.
Pretty much. Like, growing up on that border, we were down there all the time. We loved to surf down there as young guys. We've had some great sales down there recently. We've got 2 records in Fingal, like $10 million sale for a beach house, 5.5 for a duplex.
I remember that $10 million auction very clearly.
Great sort of exposure, and it's still talked about down there today. That's sort of, I guess, what's driving us down that way now. It's a lifestyle though as well. We're finding that everyone's moving south on the Gold Coast. It's sort of, it used to always be that everyone would go to surface, and now it's gone to Broadbeach, and now it's at Burleigh. So I feel as though there's a pattern that's going to keep rolling down that way until it meets up.
So true. You meet people that grown up in Mermaid, they're moving to Palmy. Because the Mermaid people who have been there 20 years, it's too busy. They go to Palmy, it's a little bit quieter. The Palmy people are going, you know what? I didn't sign up for this. There's too many influences, too cool. I'm out of here. So they're going to Kingscliff. The Kingscliff people that have been there.
People are going, well, my kids are now growing up. They want to go to private school. They want to go to Somerset, All Saints, TSS. So then they move back up. Yeah. So it's a bit of a cycle. So for us, it feels as though it's the right thing to do, because we have such a network of people that are down there already who we deal with, not just on their principal place of residence, but on their investment properties. So for us, it's a no-brainer that we keep selling down there. And Asher and Mark are doing great things. I think they've signed 13 exclusives.
Oh, on fire.
The first couple of months that they've been with us. So I don't think it will stop there. I'd like to see it moving further south than Kingscliff, Cabarita. But let's just watch that space.
We'll keep going, mate. Mate, thank you so much for giving up your time here on the Real Deal podcast. I just want to ask, a lot of people want to know, are you going to go the three-peat? You gone back-to-back number one? Are we going to see 3 in a row here, like Brisbane Lions style?
I think Ptolemy's got this one. Ptolemy's
really. There's a few others. Powsy. There's a few others.
GP's out of the gates early.
Oh yeah.
But I'm
Big Toll.
I'm going to put my money back on Toll.
Okay.
I think Toll's 2026.
I hope Guy's not listening to this. He's going to come. He's going to come strong.
Powsy will do all right. I think Powsy will come at him hard. Might even encourage him on to go harder. But
that's right. And then if he wins, you can say it's because of Ed dissing me
on the Real Deal.
Loving it. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Cheers, mate.